Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to show you some basics into the division element, which contains the container, the row, and column. So how do we organize a web page? We use the container, the row, column, and media breakpoints. So I'm going to give you a quick example of what that is. What I've done is I opened up Microsoft Paint, or whatever paint you have would work. So imagine that this area, this blank space here, is the web page. So how would you divide it up? You know, you've got a canvas, but what do you do with it? And how does the container, you know, row and column come into play? So I'm gonna do this. Boom. Boom. So think like a map, like a graph. It's divided into squares. So the first thing we do is divide it into squares. So you could call this container 1, container 2, 3, 4. Right? So we've divided that into 4 pieces. So that's kind of what a container does. It divides up a section in a web page. So what a row does then is it specifies a horizontal space in the container. Or if you don't have a container, it's just horizontal space. So this could be row number 1. So we've gone from the blank canvas to a row. So it's more specific every time. So this is a column. Right? Column 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if we wanted to put something specifically in this space, you know, we went from a blank page to one space. So that's what the divisions do. They divide the space of a web page into a specific section, into 4 sections, into 1 row, into 1 column. So if you format an image, text, whatever it is, you're doing it here. So that's how divisions specify specific areas on a web page. So I want to give you some more technical definitions, and I tried putting it in simple terms, maybe not super technical. Definitions of what containers are. So containers are used to contain pad center content within them, like the squares that I was talking about. Rows are horizontal slices of a container. Columns are outline vertical arrangements of space in a container. So a container is broad, row is more specific, column is more specific. And all of that put together is called a grid system. So if you think of a map, then that's what a grid system is. It's divided up spaces so you know specifically where you're talking about. Okay, so I want to talk about the media breakpoints. So how do we resize for different devices with media breakpoints? So we're going to log off of here and go into Google Chrome so I can show you exactly what this means. Extra large would be like a HD TV, like a giant screen, you know, larger than this amount of pixelation. Medium is a tablet, large is a laptop or a desktop. And some desktops are so large that they're extra large. So these are the two that, you know, I mainly use. I also use the cell phone view a lot as well. But some of the projects really are meant for laptops or desktops, you know, because you need the keyboard and the mouse and the whole shebang. So smaller pixelation of 576 pixels is like a cell phone. I have a Galaxy S7, and the pixelation on that is actually going to be less than 576, which makes it extra small. I think it's like 460. So when you look those up for pixel width, make sure to look up device width and not pixelation, because those are two different terms. But enough of that. Let's get onto Bootstrap so I can show you. Okay, so I went to getbootstrap.com. Now go to examples, and right click inspect, and I have it set to, I clicked this button, that's why you saw it that way. But what I want to show you is this part, this inspect element. So right click in between the two, in between here, and click inspect, and you'll see the row. I don't know if it's in a container or not, but this is a row, column. So you see call XL3, MD4, SM6. So it doesn't mean 4 wide because it's not, you know, it's, what it means is everything in the row. So 1, 2, and 3. So that's what it means by XL3. It means these 3 vertical lines. And so what we can do is shrink it down a little bit. So click this button again, and we can adjust the size manually. So we know that medium is greater than 768. So let's do 768. And we see that when it's in the medium view is 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So that's what it's saying. So what's in the small view, it's you know, 576 viewport device. And so we should see 6 different columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So don't get confused. The row, there are all of these columns are in one row. It's the way that this is designed. So typically when I do them like long ways because it's easier to understand, like in one row. So one row is a horizontal arrangement, but not necessarily as we're seeing here. So my device width on my Samsung S7 is 760. So if I want to see, it would just be individual, right? In the extra small view, each one gets its own line. So if I was designing for a cell phone, for my cell phone, it'd be 760. If I was designing for, you know, a tablet, it'd be 768, and it would look like this, and it would render as four columns this way, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if I was designing for, you know, a laptop view, it would be 992. And they left it without putting LG, column dash LG, you know, 3 or 4, because they liked the sizing that it got when it was labeled as MD4. So they only made a change when it got larger. And so when it gets larger than 1200 pixels for viewport width, then they decided, okay, now we want to style it with, you know, putting an additional one of these in this column row. So 1, 2, and 3, and I think that was a right call. I wanted to show you quickly how this page is organized, because all the different stylings that we're going to do is going to be based off this same kind of way, and you'll see how easy it is to just stack information. So onto that. This has all our tags already, so I want to replicate the site that we just saw. So just follow along with this. We're going to use emmet, so you have to have the emmet package. div.container tab over, and so that's our container. Then we're going to do a row, div.row tab, right? And then div.column tab over. And we're going to do another column because we're going to do 2. Remember, one was 8, one was 4. Div.column. So if I hit Control S, it saves it, or you can just do, there's a save option. Yeah, Control S save, or Command S, whatever. So to make this column 8 columns long, what I'm going to do is column, and remember that we're talking about the large size screen and the extra large, so I'm just going to do column.lg 4 or 8 lg 4, then just hit Control Save. So we've given it a container, a row, and a column, and you can see all that in virtually any of the examples in Bootstraps. Container row, column small, but we did column large. So we're doing these 3. We're doing 2, but it's container, row, column, right? We're dividing it like that blank canvas that we're talking about. So if you open up the page right now, it would just be blank because there's nothing there. It's just been formatted. So if we want to add an image, like the image of the tikka masala, we would do img, boom. So now we need an image now, right, to make this work. I'm going to go back here, right click, save image as, and I had already done it previously, but you can go back into your boilerplate and add a new folder and do pick, and then just save it as tikka and click save. So I always open the images anyway. Okay, so we have the image, and I'll tell you this right now about images. Okay, so you're gonna want to go to File, Add Project Folder, Boilerplate, okay, so it popped up, but if not, you just double click index, and then it pops up. So here we have the basic boilerplate that we made, and what we want to do is make this page from this image down. We want to leave the space here. So they're based on 8 divided by 12, or 12 columns length. So if I had to guess, this is 8 and this is 4. So let's replicate this. Let's go ahead and get started. Just follow along. So we're going to do, using Emmet, call, or div.call. Actually, we'll do div.container. Okay. And in this container, we're going to have div.row. And then within the row, we're going to have within the row, we're going to have column. So I mentioned that this was 8. So what we want to do is in a large screen, right? So desktop, laptop screen. We want to have that be 8 units of length, 8 columns of length, and this one's going to be 4. And we're gonna need this image too, so image, save image as, and I already saved it before, but I can Tika. So I made a folder called pic, and it's already there, but I'll replace it. And just to show you really quickly, again, additional folders, or Bootstrap, boilerplate. So there's this folder called pic right here, and in this folder is the image pic. So look at the dimensions: 760 pixels width by 1140, and so just to keep everything the same width, so it stacks nicely, everything has to be 760 width pixels, and you can crop using Photoshop, is what I use. Okay, so I showed you that. And remember, LG is large view for like a tablet, and it's greater than 992 pixels. So what we want to do now is do img in the pic folder slash tika.jpg, put masala, and I want to give this a background, so I'm going to create a class called aside1, because this is typically called an aside, so I just called it aside1. Now I'm going into my style sheet, and then I'm going to do dot aside1 background inherit background gray, and then I hit Control Save to save it, and it's not blue anymore. So this LG4 will get the stylings of the class, right? So let's open up our page using Chrome. So go to Index, right click, open with Chrome. Okay, so not bad. It looks very similar to this, as ours is completely expanded. So, see, it's very similar. I think ours might be a little bigger, but we can change that if we want to. Very similar though, right? Very similar. Okay, so now that we have this, we need the text at the bottom beneath it, right? We need to have text, this text, and then another image. So how do we get text? We've created one column and one row, so we need another column, right? And the reason that it goes under it is because you've taken out the 12th units of length. So we could do this a couple ways. We can just add a new container, and within the new container have a new row. But I'm gonna try to see if it works. So this is the container tag. So within the same row, my instincts tell me to make a new container. Well, let's see what happens. So within the same row, I'm going to take the easy way. See if this works out. So first column, I hit Alt Shift C Oh, because I made a new row. I don't need this. I don't need another row. I don't think I do anyway. Call it stack. Alt Shift C. Control C. Okay. So it is working. It's completely stacked. But I don't want a picture there. What I want is text. So I need to get rid of this and put in a paragraph element P tab and just talk a little bit about I first, heard of tikka masala a while back. I went into an Indian restaurant and really enjoyed it. I think that more people should try Indian cuisine. Control save. Oh. Go away. I just ignore that. Okay, it went away. So what I want to do here is soft wrap. So view, soft wrap. And what that does, it just wraps it so I can see it in this one screen. So I hit Control Save, and now I want to see the changes. Okay. First heard of Indian cuisine. I went to a restaurant and enjoyed it. I think more people should try Indian cuisine. Okay. Just a little. I'm noticing that. Okay. So we're working from the large view, which is this view, and it looks fine. But when I go smaller, this is actually the extra large view. But I think the styling is applied still. You see that change right there? So the large view is greater than 992. So, okay, right there. See? It goes from 1, then our styling is applied 992. And it just keeps that styling, right? But what I'm noticing is this one, this web page, right? It keeps these two columns even when it's smaller, even when it's in the medium view, which is greater than 768. So we want to do that. So to make it resize the way we want to in the median view, what we have to do is column MD8 copy. I'm going to do the same thing here, column. So we're telling it when it gets to that median view of greater than 768, we want this to happen. We want this one to be take 4 units. So we did one here, down here. Okay, Control save. Okay, so let's see what's it in. Okay, so Medium view is less than 992 but greater than 768. So we're in that range now. So when I hit refresh, you should see the column 4 that's just grayed out. You should see that. Okay. So we see that, but now we have another problem that the image, because of its size, which is 760, and let me just go to that image and show you. So it's retaining its 760 width, so it's not sizing properly. So we need to do something to the image class, to the actual image itself here, and put it in a class that resizes. So we're using Bootstrap, so go to getbootstrap.com, documentation, components. Is it in? Oh, it's not in components. Content. Okay, images. So in the image section of the documentation, you'll find information about image classes. Images in Bootstrap are made responsive with .image_fluid, max width 100%, height auto are applied to the image. So it's telling us that with image fluid, it becomes responsive, right? And it's the very first thing at the top. So pretty easy to find. So let's just try that. It's telling you use this class image fluid, and we could literally just copy this. So we want to give it I'll type it out just because it's always better to type it out. We want to give the image a class, and it has no classes right now. So we're going to give it a class. Okay, img fluid. And so let's see if that solves the problem. Oh, here we go. So it's bleeding out because the width of it is still not being resized, right? So oh, I know what I did. It's not typed out correctly, so it's an equal sign here. Okay. So class equal img fluid, and let's see if this works. Okay. So now it's working, and it did a couple other things, right? Because now there's a space here and a space here. So let's get rid of this for a second. Hit Control X. Control Z. Oh wait, this one. Control X. And let's see what that does. So I guess there was a space here that's still the same, but there wasn't a space here, right? So it's adding that sort of padding into it, is what I can see. So now I'm going to do Control Z, or Control Z, save, Control S. So this kind of remained the same, but it's adding a space here. So let me see if it says anything on here. Max width. Does it say anything about padding? I'm sure there's another section that says that, or I can just Google image fluid class padding, and it will tell me. But I can just look at it and know that this wasn't here before. So definitely there's some space being created right here, and I'm fine with it. You know, it's not a problem for me that it's there. I can probably get rid of it if I wanted to, but now what I'm seeing is that now it looks in this smaller size of 876, which is in the medium range. It has the padding that I want. So once I go below the medium range, 768, it resizes fine. I mean, that looks good to me. And once it gets over 768, our styling is applied. So let me show you the cell phone view. You can click here, and this is the way it will look in a cell phone view. And I like this. I think this looks clean, right? It looks good. So let's go back. Okay, and I like it. I mean, this is something I can live with. I don't have to change the smaller size because the way it's doing it, the way it's being resized is working. Because I've made the image fluid, and the paragraph tag is resizing correctly. So that's Bootstrap 4. It does a lot of resizing for you instead of us having to do it at every single point. So we can just focus on the content now. And let's make it large again. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely dig it. So what I want to do now is, just compare it a little bit. And remember, this is a different size, but maybe I can see exactly what size. Okay. So it's in the medium view, and then this one is what view? Okay, so they're both in the medium view. But so the difference between these two is that we have space here, and when it gets to the medium view, there's no space. And I think I know how to solve that one. There's a no gutters. No gutter. Right. So this is under, you can just do what I did, click in no gutters here. So no gutters between columns is our predefined grid class can be removed. Removes negative margins from the row and horizontal padding. So that would mean there's no spaces between the row of ours, so there shouldn't be a space here. And I don't know what it'll do to the sides. Let's experiment. Oh, make that small. So let's try no gutters goes in the row, and it gives you an example of no gutters. This removes negative margins from the dot row. So it doesn't say exactly where you put it, does it? Okay, here it says div class row no gutters. So you just add the no gutters to the row. So we only had one row in this case. We could have done two. I don't think it would have changed anything dramatically. So we're adding the no gutters. And I just knew that one offhand because I've looked into it before. So it got rid of the space in between. Let me see if it. So there would still be space here. I'm sure there's a way to get rid of that. But it's not super important. I mean, that's just a detail. So we're kind of in the same view again. Container.fluid. Actually, I think I know. It seems like every time you add a dash fluid, it just takes up more space, right? So let's do this, container/fluid. Okay. So it does making a container/fluid does make it, pretty much exactly the way it renders here, right? But when it gets to the larger view, this one is not taking up the space anymore. So this one is. When it gets to the large view, it takes up every bit of space, and it adds, here, it adds like a big space here. So this isn't going to work out for us using container fluid. I just wanted to show you. I'll see if I can find a way to do it in the larger view, because I feel like this looks good in the large view, and when it gets to the smaller view, maybe it's a little bit different. Like I could take up more space. Remember, there's nothing here for us, but there's some space here and some space here. All right, we have some space here, so it looks very similar. But so that's just a little detail. I wouldn't worry about it too much at this point. I just wanted to show you that it was possible. So right now it's looking very similar, right? So let's just add more. Let's add another stack, as I've been calling them here. We could do it in the same row, I suppose. Okay, let's add another stack. Or we're adding 2 stacks, actually. Control save. So, whoa, do you see that we can just keep adding images and text and just stack, 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 stack? So I'm going to call this the 4th stack. And this is the 3rd stack. So all we have to do at this point is have more images and more text. So we could do a little research at that point. So what she did here, okay, when Ben was out of town, just, you know, how she tried the food. Here are my tips. You know, she uses chicken thighs and garlic naan. Garlic naan is really good. And then what she has here is just, this is another text box that's been grayed out. And what this is styling, right? This is bold, it's larger, it's a different font style than the bottom part. So all of this is styling, and it's not different from this. It's just styling. And then she has, really it ends here. This is where it ends here, and then she's like, quick and easy. These are just buttons you can click, quick and easy recipe. Let's see what that takes. And that just takes you to like a home page, right? To a broader page where she has more stuff. An entree. And making buttons and stuff is really easy to do. But what I wanted to show you in this video is how easy it actually is to create some images that you can stack, right? And then that's your whole page, really. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to do this kind of thing, and it might be a little different than hers, but it'll be essentially, this will be easy, just like a gray column with a button. That would be super easy to replicate. And then this is just an image. Shop this recipe. Let's see what this is. Oh, that's not even anything. It's an image that has a hyperlink. And this might actually be an ad, a Google ad. So this might not even be her who did that. So directions, large saucepan, 2 cups of water. And this is like a social media tag, maybe. Let me see what that is. Yeah, Instagram. So it's linked to her Instagram page, and we won't be getting to to making an Instagram page, but I mean, is it the same picture? I mean, it's slightly different. So she just has lots of images. So in the next video, we're gonna get into making this part and styling the text. But I hope you can tell that it is really simple to just make an image, text, and then replicate, stack it, right? Make the image text, and it's resizing the way that we want to, when it gets to the over 7668 pixels, which is medium, it shows 2 columns, and then it keeps that. So once it breaks 992, then it becomes the larger view, and you see it takes up more space. And I will say this too, that you don't want it to resize perfectly on every single, increase of pixel width. They're made for specific purposes. Like the large view is made for, desktop, laptop, and the medium view is a tablet, and the small view and this view is a cell phone. So as long as it works in this exact view, this exact pixelation, then it works, over 768, right? If it works right here, that's all you need it to work in. If it works over 992, right, that's all it needs to work. It doesn't have to be perfect in some in between, right? If it's in between 992 and 1200, doesn't matter, because we're making it for specific view device widths, right? Which is medium, large, and small. So as long as those are correct, the users who will wind up going to the site are going to be fine. And you don't want it to resize. It would be a waste of your time if it resizes perfectly in some kind of in-between pixelation, and web pages are made for specific users, like the cell phone view, like the tablet view, and we've done that with these perfectly, and it looks very similar. So let me see what she did here. So she's in the medium, because it's over 768. And what do we have? 768. And what is ours? Is it the same? Oh yeah, so okay. So it actually does work the same, because we have 2 columns. And the only difference between these two is the styling of the CSS, and that's what our next video is going to be on. So I hope you can see how easy it is to make a couple of images, stack it, and then you can make this as long as you want. You can make variations of tikka masala. So, okay, make sure to watch the next video.